Trump insiders now describing what we can only see as the Harris effect, an angry, confused, and rattled candidate who is unsettled by his new foe. Trump has been watching Harris get the kind of coverage and attention that he craves, including upending the whole political media television cycle. And yes, we are a part of it, but if you measure it even outside of this channel, you would find a lot more news about Harris and her running mate and her momentum and her ideas, and less about the other guy. You can see the big crowds in Nevada. Her crowds and enthusiasm alone has become a story unto itself. Or take Time magazine, which everyone knows for many decades to set a kind of tone in America. Magazines may not matter quite as much as they did decades back, but this cover is the kind of thing that people still see in supermarkets or these days online as it whizzes around, and they are calling it at Time her moment. Harris hammering Trump as a creature of the past.
This campaign is not just about us versus Donald Trump. It is about two different visions for our nation. One, ours, focused on the future. The other, focused on the past.
Past versus future is a lens that Democrats say is working and is true. Now, Donald Trump is not known for his fidelity to the truth. He has been documented as the most lying public official alive, according to independent accounts like the Washington Post. So whether or not he knows it's true, he knows it is apparently working because this has been, quote, the worst 3 weeks of Donald Trump's campaign yet. That's how the New York Times puts it here, reporting how people around Trump say he's knocked off his bearings, he's disoriented by the contest with Harris, that he has been in a, quote, foul mood and, quote, ranting about Kamala Harris. All of this reflecting his view that things aren't going well. Remember what I said. He may not be known for truth, but this appears to be a part of political reality that he does understand and that he has also been making. The Times reports, quote, one forced error after another. Harris clearly has momentum right now. Now, there are many ways to measure this in politics. And if you follow this show, you may know that I've told you for years now that we don't cover national polls much in covering the Electoral College because the national polls don't correspond to how the vote is ultimately counted. And we also try to be very serious and careful when we do present you with data because, as you might remember from 2016 or any number of years, the narratives can take on a life of their own. So what I'm about to show you is basically a statistical tie in these key states, which is an improvement over what Biden was doing. The Harris campaign sees this as great news. Some have even referred to it as a lead, although, as you'll see, it's more like a tie. In Michigan, Harris has improved to 50% over Trump's 46%. A 4-point difference, but as I'm clearly showing you, the margin of error is larger than that. The Times has polling snapshot coming out of the other key so-called blue wall states. These are the ones that if Harris won all of these, she would win the election based on the coalition they've had in the past. Wisconsin, very similar. 50, 46, margin of error. And then Pennsylvania, where Harris was with her new running mate last week. Everyone knows it's a crucial swing state. You see again, it's almost like we didn't change the polls, but we did. You see the line of Pennsylvania at the top, 50, 46, and also margin of error. So basically, she's improved, but it is a statistical tie. Advisors are telling Trump Harris will grow those kind of leads further, quote, coming out of the Democratic convention. That's what his own people are warning him, according to a brand new Axios report starting the week. That convention is now just a week away. And Kamala Harris is no stranger to the event. What it takes up on the main stage, those speeches are harder than they might look. I've covered those conventions inside the hall and out, and it's a big room. It's a stadium speech, even big candidates. If you're a statewide candidate, that might be the biggest stadium speech you've ever given, to say nothing of the national, international audience. But she's actually been doing this for a couple cycles. We want to show you all the way back to grassroots events around the conventions in 2008 to then taking that main stage in Obama's reelection.
A democracy, I believe, is defined and symbolized by many things, including a process that is fair and allows everyone to be heard.
The American dream belongs to all of us.
It is also defined by the existence of a Constitution and a love of that Constitution.
That's a dream we will put within reach of all our people. Thank you.
Harris going from the hallways to the main stage, just as Tim Walz went from the windows to the walls, if you know that one. This has been a pretty fast, consistent rise. And of course, the twist this year was her becoming the nominee. And that is confounding Trump. Democrats have long argued that Donald Trump's policies pull America into the past. Harris, though, now embodies that contrast in a whole new way, rising with this energy and this enthusiasm against an opponent 20 years her senior. I told you we have that Trailblazer special coming up in just moments, but on this breaking news with all of the Trump issues, I want to bring in our political science professor from Fordham University, Christina Greer, the author of Black Ethnics. Welcome. This is how Trump is starting the week. A lot of those quotes were from people around him. What do you see in the campaign as we start the week?
Well, you know, as you reminded your audience, Ari, it's only been 3 weeks since Kamala Harris was elevated to the top of the ticket, and it's only been 6 days since Governor Walz was added to the ticket. And so the momentum is real. The money that's been pouring in is real, and not just big donations, but small donations, which actually can translate into votes because people are feeling invested and excited about this new race. It's a new race in many ways. Donald Trump's strategy was, you know, don't vote for the old guy because the Black woman might become the president if something happens to him. Well, Joe Biden has stepped aside, and now Donald Trump is scrambling for a message, which is she's not that smart. That's not really resonating with a lot of voters who have seen her not just as the vice president for the past 3+ years. She was a senator for several years. She was the attorney general of the largest state in the nation. She has a very impressive resume, more impressive than a lot of people who run for the presidency. So his tactics aren't landing. He's scrambling. And we also know, and you all have talked about this, his choice of vice president is feeling very Sarah Palin-esque, is an impulse buy in many ways. And so J.D. Vance isn't adding to the ticket or the base. And so it's one unforced error after another. And we know Donald Trump spirals when things don't go his way.